Thank you, James, and thanks for everybody being here. We appreciate it. We're just trying to give back with people helped us along the way, so we're trying to provide some value. And actually, our presentation is done because we were doing title companies and attorneys. So I think we covered that. Just kidding, just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding.
It's yeah, so it's about building a team, and we have to be a little bit more cognizant about that because we do invest virtually, as James said. So we're in different states. I think we're in 11 different states or that we've actually bought properties in. So we've some do's and don'ts and tips and tricks, and we have some don'ts because we did go to those title companies that we shouldn't because we weren't in that right area, or we didn't have good boots or good referrals. So we got a short PowerPoint. We're going to be cognizant of time, and we're trying to keep these to 15 and 20 minutes. We're kind of wordy sometimes, so we don't always do that, but we'll be cognizant of time. So we'll get a little short PowerPoint going. And
do I have capabilities to share the screen, James? Let me try.
Oops, sorry, I was on mute. I did make you co-host, so you should be able to share, and if not, I'll do something else.
Thank you. I think I.
Yep, it's coming up. There it is.
Here we go with technology.
Oh no, I just have to do it from there. Okay. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so that's us. And again, these James had said a virtual REI Academy. We're putting this on. We do have a bunch of courses on there, experienced investors, anything residential that you want to know. We're actually trying to come up with some different courses, virtual real estate investing and some other things that people are running into. So if you have any ideas on any courses you'd like on there, we have some freebies on there with a scope of work and some other documents that everybody's going to need. So check out that at virtualreiacademy.com. And without further ado, PowerPoint.
Okay, we're going to be talking about, like as Jane said, choosing and leveraging title companies and attorneys. Some states, like it's pretty much half and half of the states around the country. Half of them, you have to have a title attorney to do your transactions. The other half, it doesn't have to be a title attorney. It could be another type of layman. It could be an escrow person. It could be just a title company without an attorney. Maryland happens to be one of them that you do have to have a title attorney. Usually the title company is headed by an attorney. So that's what we use. Or we've used title companies with the attorneys as part of the team. And you have, when choosing reliable title companies, you have to be cognizant of the fees, what you're trying to accomplish, whether they're real estate friendly, and just we're going to be talking about what to look for and what things to do in order to find the right fit for you so that you can be more successful in real estate. The roles of title company attorneys are it plays crucial role in your transactions and ensuring the transfer of the property ownership. And you want to do this for them to make sure that your properties are free and clear of any encumbrances and fees associated with them. You want to make sure that the title attorney or the title company is able to complete the smooth transactions. And we've actually have a story about one that did not clear the property properly with us in Mississippi. And we had to go through a lot of hoops to make sure that it was cleared. And we always get title insurance because that does protect you. We've talked to other real estate investors and they don't pay the extra money to get title insurance. Sometimes it's important to pay extra money to make sure you're covered instead of trying to skimp out on the important things. Paying extra to make sure you have a good title company that does the proper searches and does the proper title. You have proper title insurance in place makes a big difference. We've learned from other people's mistakes on this. And you want to make sure that, they can handle escrow properly, facilitate the closing process, And, with the title attorneys, you want to make sure that they're understanding and they can involve themselves with complex legal processes, that they're essential and knowledgeable to navigate real estate and assist with the contracts, the draftings. Sometimes we like to create our own contracts and have the attorney look over it to make sure it's proper and all the wordings in there, and that it's for each area, because we do invest virtually in 11 different states. So we want to make sure the verbiage and the wording is proper for that state and that county. So that's important. And then sometimes if we don't want to draft it up and have them review it, we have the attorney draft it up. Did you want that? I don't know. Okay. And one of the first things you want to do is research them online, look at reviews and testimonials, see that they're on the up and up. Unfortunately, you can't always rely on this, because more people, if people have a good experience, they don't leave the reviews. More the people are going to leave reviews when they have a bad experience. So you're going to end up having more bad reviews than good ones. So you really have to know what to look for and kind of weed out that sort of thing. But when you have reviews and people talking, then they're a viable business and they're doing business and they're out there, doing things. So, and we like to get referrals from other investors who've been successful with the title companies and attorneys. And we're proud to refer the title companies we use and the title attorneys. We want to give them business and keep them going. And you got to look at their experience and track record. They see how they perform with that they are real estate friendly, that they're investor friendly, that they've done the things that we need them to do as real estate agents. I mean, real estate investors, such as like trusts. We like to put our properties in trusts. There's some states that it was hard to find title attorneys because they don't understand the trust process. That's just one example. But you want to make sure that they also are able to handle wholesale deals and fix and flip projects. You want to look for ones that are versatile in all your real estate investing needs. We do a lot of HUD deals. And if you're not able to wholesale a HUD deal, so you have to assign the contract and do a simultaneous double close. We've come across that's the thing that's the most difficult for us when we navigate to look for real estate attorneys and title companies. A lot of them think that that's illegal to double close and use the end buyer's money to do that simultaneous transaction. So you got to ask them up front some questions when you do interview them to make sure that they do have the ability to handle the transactions that you need them to handle, and that they do it efficiently, and they've done it in the past with other investors. That's why we always like to use referrals from other investors, because they know that they'll be versed in what we need them to do. Why reinvent the wheel? Why, just use the title companies and the attorneys that's worked well for other investors.
Yeah, and that's now as we get into this period that we're in, the complex transactions we're subject to, and some of the other things you can do, you have to, a lot of title companies just won't do them, or they don't know how to do them. So it's important that those kind of creative things that, option to buy, all that stuff, that they can handle that. They know how to record it correctly, and all that stuff gets taken care of.
And transparency and communication. You want them to have, you want to have clear communications between the title company and yourselves. It's vital when working with them that, you want them to be able to explain the legal concepts in a way that you and the buyer and everyone involved can understand. Sometimes some of the legal jargon can go over all of our heads because we haven't been schooled in that, but you want to make sure that you're not guessing what it means, that they're going to talk to you and explain to you and be clear and concise, and that they're very responsive. sometimes when you have a deal, you need it closed as quickly as they're promising, they can deliver the closing. And if they, take too much time or keep holding off the closing, you're going to lose that opportunity. You're going to lose that deal. So you want to make sure that they're very responsive, their communications open and clear. And, and they are transparent with the whole closing process, how long it takes, the fees, how they handle any potential issue or concerns that come along. Just everything, how their title insurances, the premiums, escrows, and any additional charges that they're upfront. And that you do once you interview them, that you interview several different title companies. And most the places that we do business now, we have backups. So if one isn't going to work out for us or there's some issues, then we have somebody that we can go to with everybody on your team. You always want to have backups and exit strategies in case something doesn't work out.
And I think for us, the communication responsive time is most important. And I was going to try to get her on here. She's our title company in Maryland. So it's A1 title. And I tried to get Shannon on here because like, I definitely know that if I send her an email and I don't get a response within, maybe an hour, that, maybe she's on vacation. I didn't check that or whatever. So, I know she's going to be responsive. I know she's going to tell me what she needs right away as soon as she gets the paperwork. And then I typically don't need to talk to her unless she's having a problem with the actual buyer. But, Indiana Network Title, we use them in Indiana, very prompt. I don't have to do a bunch of nonsense. It's send them the paperwork. They get in touch with everybody. Georgia, we have one. Florida, we have a very good one at Pier. And sometimes we'll pay a little bit more just because it's if their fees rise up, and you just got to keep a check on the fees to make sure that they're not going up too much. But if I got to pay a couple extra dollars, but they know me, they know how we work, they know we use trust, and they'll get that paperwork done. They'll be quick and on the way. And we typically don't have to talk to them a million times like some title companies. One in Maryland, I can't even remember their name. We closed on a house in Cumberland, and my God, I was on the phone, email, this and that. They didn't like the trust. They didn't like this. They didn't like that. So never use them again. And that was one of the ones that, we went away from because when we sell a house, we always say you must use our title company. And we've walked away from deals if they won't use our title company. And that being the reason why is you lose time, you lose, some people get mad and walk away, but it's just not worth it for us to vary from that.
That's a good point. The deals that went sideways are usually when we allowed the other party to use their title company. So that's a good point. And with fees and costs, you want to have competitive fees, and you want to see how their fee structures are set up. And different attorneys and different title companies have different fee structures. Some of them have, like, some of the attorneys charge an hourly fee. Some of the title companies, they do flat fees. Others have fees based on the value of the property or the loan amount. So you want to determine which fee structure works well with your business and your model. And make sure that you find out what hidden costs are, inquire about them, or additional fees as part of the closing process. You want to have the whole schedule to see how much things cost and ask for a list and compare them to other companies. Always when you interview, when you're fresh and you interview title attorneys, title companies, or any type of attorneys, make sure you interview at least 3 of them and get a comparison, see which ones you like better, see which ones are more investor friendly. And as Jane was saying earlier, consider quality over that price base. Sometimes the cheapest, you don't always want to go with the cheapest. You don't always want to go with the most expensive or the cheapest, but nice middle of the road where they are able to complete your transactions the way you need them completed. And you also want to consider their expertise, reputation, ability to deliver positive outcomes, how they work well with everyone else involved, if they're respectful to everyone involved in your deal. And this is one of the most important qualities in looking for an attorney or a title company for us, being virtual, is the technology. It's automation is the key. We close in 11 different states. So, they have to be on top of things and have online portals, document sharing. We have to have the ability to sign online, and not have to go to the title companies to handle the transactions. We would never be able to do that. And that takes time away from us. Even if it is a local title company, that would still be important to us, because that'll take time away from us to doing the important things, going out and making the relationships, finding the deals, getting on the ground and grinding. We don't have time to go to the title companies to sign things off, hand them the money that needs to be handed, making bank runs. This, as you can see, is a very important component to choosing your attorneys. And you want to ensure that they are licensed and insured, and that they have the proper and the right amount of insurance. And
the insurance is important for us because with the HUD homes, the title companies actually have to have, certain things in place. And if we almost lost one deal because they had it, but they just didn't upload it to the portal. So then that person was on vacation and I don't know what happened, but they didn't upload it. So it looked like their insurance was expired, and just trying to get that at the last minute when they're like, this person can't handle the closing. And so just making sure they have that insurance in place and everything's uploaded on portals, whatever you're trying to, the HUD home store, that was important.
And you do want to build a good rapport and have that trust factor in there, because the title attorneys and the title companies are handling sensitive information, and you don't want it just out there to anybody. And you want to make sure that they have client confidentiality and they have the highest level of professionalism and ethical standards, because you're not only putting your important private information out there, you're putting all your other clients' private information. So you want to look at that too. That's utmost important to us.
And the good rapport for us is important too. Like we'll recommend our title companies, but we also don't want to recommend it to somebody that's going to be a pain in their butt. So, be cognizant of that as well. So if you're going to recommend somebody, if they don't like working with them, or, they're a problem child, that kind of reflects back on you. So we try not to have people that are just a pain to work with, that, or bugging them all the time, or, you might not know that, right up front, but then you might, ask them, hey, how'd that work out with that person? And we've done that before where we recommend them. They said that was absolutely the worst person they ever worked with, so then that's just, it's not your fault, but still, try to gauge that with, we tell people up front, hey, you send her the information and she'll get back to you and it'll go smoothly if you're not a pain in the butt, basically.
And just, in conclusion with this part, just, again, conduct a thorough research, look at the referrals, evaluate their expertise and their reputation, make sure that they have the proper communication skills, consider the cost and the personal compatibility, and make sure that they're able to handle the real estate transactions like foreclosures and evictions and other real estate things that pop up as you're buying houses, that they're versed on that as well with the attorneys. And we wanted to talk a little bit about the probate attorneys and divorce attorneys. It's good to have them on your team. And probate properties are real estate assets owned by individuals who have passed away. And their estates are going through the probate process. These properties are often present investors opportunities because of the motivated sellers. When the person passes away, it goes to their heirs. And a lot of times they don't understand or want the responsibility of that house. They don't want to have to do the upkeep or pay the taxes or the property taxes, insurance and all that. And it's too cumbersome for them. They just want to sell it. So that's a potential for us investors to go in and get below market prices in houses that haven't hit MLS yet, haven't hit the market. So that's a good opportunity. And the same with divorce attorneys. A couple is fighting and arguing, and a lot of times they just want to clear out their assets and split the fees. They don't want to own the house together or any properties together. They just want to sell and split and get out of there. So we always try to get a hold of and build good rapport with these type of attorneys. And their roles are they manage the legal aspects of the probate proceedings. They handle estate administration. They resolve inheritance issues and distribute assets to the beneficiaries. So they have valuable insights in the real estate properties within the probate process. So what you want to do is collaborate with the attorneys so that it's mutually beneficial to both parties. There's a way that you can get in there and help them reduce their workload by, they're not in it to be real estate investors, or it takes them longer to figure out, the price of the house, how much the after repair value, the upkeep of the house, what it's worth, with, rental numbers, the rehab numbers. So you give them your insight as they have to do the processes with the probate with the properties. And in return, when you build a relationship with them, then they'll reach out to you when they do have a motivated seller. They do have people that need to offload their properties and get cash. So then you can, then they'll you'll be their pocket buyer for the properties, and it works great. And this is one that a lot of investors don't capitalize on. So you might have the market. You might be one at the top of the market on reaching out to these attorneys. Because not that we haven't seen that many other investors really capitalize on that.
And really with residential real estate, I mean, the biggest key is you're really a problem solver. That's what you really do, is because people have a problem and you solve it. You either buy the house or help them move the house. Sometimes you can't, the numbers don't make sense, and you just suggest how they could do it, or you refer them to a real estate agent if it doesn't make sense for you. But at the end of the day, that's what we do. We solve people's problems they don't want the house, and, we can do something with the house. So, sometimes working with lawyers, attorneys, even the title companies, they have, they know who the buyers are. So, sometimes if you have a house that you can't move in that area, the title attorney might, or the title, people might know somebody that buys. So, it's, again, it comes back. We keep saying it's relationship driven. This is a relationship driven business, and that's typically what happens.
Yes, and with some of these properties, you might be able to do owner financing or some sort of options on them, so you don't have to come up with all the cash all at once. So there's so many ways that you can structure these type of deals.
So that's kind of that. Does anybody have any questions or anything else?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for the presentation. So many questions because you guys are in 11 different states. Wow, that's amazing. But with regards to the last topic you mentioned about probate attorneys, what's the best way or divorce attorney? How do you approach them? What do you say to sort of add value?
Yeah, I think again it's relationship. We haven't just like cold calls, and I don't know their I don't know what their responsibility is to, if they can just refer the client to us, or what their ethical and stuff is with the attorneys. It's relationships. If we know a good lawyer, if we run into somebody that it's, like divorce and they don't have attorneys, we might refer them to them. Or, and then maybe later back they come, we haven't cold called anybody and just said, hey, we're investors. If you have any probate cases or divorce cases, it's typically people we know, or people we worked with, or people we've, run into some other circles.
Okay.
And,
So people you run into in circles, like say at a meeting or somebody you refer to, what do you tell them? What would you tell that lawyer to, I guess, show them you add value?
Yeah, just basically we get their card and we'll refer them to people we know, and then we just, it's pretty casual. Just if you have anybody that, is having a problem with a house, either probate, divorce, bankruptcy is another one, people are trying to figure out a way that if there's any way we can help them with their issue, then we will. And if we run into anybody, it's just kind of referral.
Awesome. Thank you.
and if you do kind of like cold market them, we were told by other people that was successful at it, that you send like letters and emails, but it has to be like pop to them. It's got to look different and stand out for them to open it and look at it, because lawyers are busy, and don't make it lengthy. Just get it short and to the point so they understand it, knowing that you'll help them with their problems. They'll help you, make it mutually beneficial. Just kind of drive that into them.
Because at the
Good
end
point,
of the
Sharon.
day with the divorce, say, that's the sticking point is the house, and they're fighting over the house, what's the best option for the attorney to get that moving so everybody will be happy, and that might be selling it for, such an, whatever price, 300,000, and everybody would be happy with that. And, then they can get their part of it done, and then everybody can agree to go divorce and do whatever.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. If nobody else has a question, I'm just gonna jump in because I have a list.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So being in 11 different states, speaking of what have you found is the most effective way to find deals, so to speak?
Deals or title companies?
Deals. Like how are you
Uh,
finding?
Again, auctions are our go-to. Hudson and Marshall for the other states. We got pretty proficient at that
Mhm.
during COVID. Which COVID was a big. We found some really good deals because nobody else was buying, so we were able to. But wholesalers, we have a whole host of wholesalers in different states now. So, we typically find our own deals. Like, although we have a lot of wholesalers, I can usually find a better deal than what they're presenting. So, typically it's just auctions or mailers. We do a lot of mailers out, and we're able to skip trace people, so we'll just call them from there. Facebook Marketplace is another big one. Just kind of seeing what people put out there and then finding deals on there.
In the past, we've went on Facebook groups with people that wanted to get into investing that haven't really gotten into it or learned all the tactics yet. And we've had them help us. And then we were able to nurture them and train them and teach them what we look for in houses. So then they in turn have been our wholesaler. So we kind of train the wholesaler to how we need them to, look and what numbers we're looking for and what types of houses. So that's worked with us in the past too. We've had one that we've done successfully in Indiana. We were working on one in Mississippi and Alabama as well. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else have any questions?
Hello.
Or
I have a question.
Welcome back.
And I'm so embarrassed that I didn't realize that my camera was on the whole time. So I was eating my dinner and sipping my wine the entire
No
time.
worries. No worries.
My question is the one that I actually posed to Nicole about the numbers. What numbers do you use to do what we call in the commercial world the sniff test? Do you take out the 10% vacancy? Oh, well, do you use the 50% rule that Nicole suggested, or do you have a different set of numbers that you like to use when you're
We
trying to
use
run
a different, yeah, we
property?
use a different set, although now I think I'm gonna start using Nicole's because she's pretty
That's
smart.
even
She
more
has
conservative.
6,000 doors, so maybe we're gonna do that. But basically we take out the, the insurance, the taxes, all that stuff, and then we use typically, well, now I've heard it's like 13% for property management, some places, but we'll take out the percentage for property management and then the reserves typically, and then, all your other stuff, and then we just base that on the rentals, the rent numbers, and we're conservative with that. If the rent numbers are, everybody's saying 1,000, we'll usually drop that down to, at least 900, sometimes a little bit more, depending on the market. Depending on the market also, Baltimore vacancies are higher probably for us in residential, or just, just in case,
Okay.
Florida, typically people stay a little bit longer in our houses. Indiana, can go either way, so we're conservative and have a little higher vacancy number.
So do you like Nicole's number of the 50% then? That sounds reasonable to you
Yeah,
all?
I like that.
It's even more conservative.
Yeah.
We like to do things on the conservative side so that we have enough spread and enough, that we're not going to get hurt. So that
Okay.
is even more conservative. We're always on the, err on the side of caution when we do any type of transactions and looking at houses. So, sometimes, we don't get the houses, other people get in there and swoop it out from under us, but then we go and research it later and realize, we made the right choice, and they're kind of faltering on. And also everybody has their own way of doing things and their own strategies. They might want to use that house for something else, and it works for them. Those numbers work for them. So you always want to stick with your numbers. I know it's enticing to look at how other people are doing things and thinking, oh, well, if they're buying at this rate, then maybe I could start buying at that rate. But they might have a different strategy than we do. So always stick to your numbers and what works for you with your business model. Sometimes you do get wrapped up in that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Because we do, we have different houses that we use for different ways. So we do structure the numbers differently. If it's a flip, we'll structure it differently than if it's a buy and hold, or, some
Lease
options, or like Airbnb or vacation rentals or corporate rentals. Structure the numbers differently based on what the end goal is.
This is Nicole. I wanted to just kind of underscore a couple of things that you guys were talking about, which is the cost versus quality, or good access and service. And I have found, I've been doing this for a number of years now, and that a lot of investors, particularly newer investors, really are focused on cost. They're going to go after the lowest cost option, because in general, we're cheap. We want to buy something below market, and we just kind of carry that out to all the service providers too. We want to get them down to what we think we can pay, the lowest amount. So we're negotiating all the time. But in truth, good quality and good communication service, most of the time, and as I've gotten older and more experienced, trumps cost. Now, I don't want to pay the highest price for anything, but, if I don't have to do rework, if I don't have to spend time on things, if I don't have to come back and have them say to me, well, we didn't think about how much it was going to cost accurately, and so now it's another $1,000 or whatever, that, that good quality and good service to be trumps cost most of the time. So I don't know
I was gonna say, that's for us too, you know, our title companies that we have now, they would really have to be outrageous costs for us to go away from them. You know, we have another one in Sarasota that, you know, we like him too, but you know, typically we're going right to Pier. We've been with them since day one. They closed our first Florida house. You know, it's like I don't have to do anything. I don't have to worry about them doing things right. I don't have to, you know, sit and watch. I don't have to drive things up to Tampa. I mean, it's just they're not even in our area, but it's worth it for us to not have to worry anything. Our last closing we did with somebody in Florida, I sent them the paperwork. The buyer sent all his stuff. You know, we didn't have to hear from them at all until it was like the closing day, and they sent wire instructions. So that's the way we, you know, if you think about time, you know, what is your time worth? You know, and again, for us to scale, somebody on the earlier call was asking about scaling your business. That's kind of where we got stuck because, you know, we wanted to do everything and we thought, you know, I got to go to take the check to the bank and I got to do this and I got to, you know, so all the little minimum wage activities we call them is, you know, now you weigh that, is that worth my, you know, 20, 40, 60, $80, whatever I think I should be getting the hour. Is that worth it for me to go to the bank and put a check in there, or is it worth it? So, you know, the title company can definitely save you time, or they can make it a lot of time. Again, in Cumberland, you know, it was just, besides getting gray hair dealing with them, it was also just time. You know, I had to send an email, I had to look something up, I had to resend them something, I had to do this. So it just got to be where that wasted a lot of time on a closing.
And you also want to be considerate of them, and you want to be professional with them and treat them with respect and integrity. Jane was mentioning Pier. There's several people that work in the office, and they all handle the different transactions. The one lady always takes our transactions, and she's like our concierge service. And we treat her great. She works well with us, gets us what we need. We treat her great. We have a vacation rental, and we put her up in the vacation rental, her and her family, for a long weekend, just as a thank you. Our other title company in Maryland, we send her, you know, Starbucks gift cards, Walmart gift cards, different things like that, thank you letters. So that goes a long way too, to keep the relationship going, but two-sided. And then we didn't tell the story about the Mississippi one. That, oh my gosh, I don't even know what happened. They didn't remember what that house
Yeah, I don't even.
was a mess.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, title insurance is very important to us no matter what. You know, early on we were told don't get it, and I don't even think it's that much, whatever, it's a couple $100. But, you know, a lot of investors were like, oh, that's just wasted money and you should never do that. Well, you know, luckily we did it, you know, it's good until it's not. But, you know, it was just, they didn't
secure the house.
Yeah, they didn't secure the house and they didn't do some other stuff. And it, you know, it's not like it was that much, it didn't cost that much. It was in Mississippi and we got a two for one. But, you know, again, at the end of the day, you want to be in the best position to not lose money. So, you know, that was a title company that the wholesaler, you know, kind of forced the hand and made us use, and they were just horrible. They didn't return phone calls. They still don't. You know, it's been a big battle. So again, more gray hair and, you know, going through other steps to, you know, get what's right and get what is due us, when if it would have been a title company that we would have typically vetted and used ourselves, we wouldn't have had all those issues.
Well, the other thing with lack of title insurance on deals is that if you don't have it, you run the risk of breaking the chain of title for everybody going downstream. So if you ever want to sell that, and there isn't clear chain of title, then it becomes very difficult for them to get title insurance. And that with banks, that's going to kill your deal. So that kind of goes back to the things we were saying, that a lot of investors are, you know, are kind of
Cheap.
penny wise and pound foolish, so to speak.
Yep. Yeah.
So before you
Absolutely.
decide to not do something that is mainstream, in the investing world, I'm not talking about creative investing, but generally investing, you ought to be asking, why do they do that? And what is the downside of not doing that if I choose to go at this differently? I mean, we don't do anything. I don't do very little kind of traditional, but title insurance and insurance, are things that I just don't let slip because of the risks involved. So for whatever
Absolutely.
that's worth.
No, absolutely, we agree, and we know investors who they don't insure their properties. I mean, they're not the expensive properties, and 100 and less, but they look at it as if they just won't insure it. But for us, we want to have title insurance, we want to have regular insurance, we want to be covered on all bases.
Well, we don't, for a lot of our mobile homes that we own, particularly older ones, we'll self-insure the building, but we never skip on liability insurance.
Yep.
That's how we do it, because you're right, it's a lot of places won't insure the older mobile homes with it, so that's how we do the liability as well.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Me?
yeah, this is such an interesting conversation. So I have two, but to relating to title, is that where so you and then Nicole, you mentioned insurance. So you're talking about umbrella insurance? Is that what we're talking about when you but anyways, are we talking about like extended title insurance? Do you recommend getting that?
No, I just am wanting basic title insurance. And because if the title changes, so a lot of the creative residential real estate,
Mhm.
if we're going to step into the investor, into the homeowner's shoes,
Yep.
but but the deed stays in their name,
Sure.
then I'm working off of their title insurance, right? So I
Mhm.
don't necessarily need to go get that. But the minute I'm going to step into their deal with a subject to or anything else, where now I'm in the chain of title, I have to have title insurance.
Okay.
Okay, so it really follows the house in terms of title insurance, at least as far as I understand it does. And so anytime you have information about the deed changing, title insurance needs to come into play. If you're talking about, kind of mortgage and the note on the mortgage, but the deed doesn't change, then title insurance you ought to check with your attorney to make sure something in that state isn't different, but it's not quite the same level because you haven't changed the chain of title, right? You haven't really changed the title. You're still not on title.
Mhm.
You have the deed, and so you should be on title.
Mhm.
Once you have the deed, you are on title, right?
Correct. So
So
like a sub two, you're saying we're
so
subject to
sub two, I have the deed.
Mhm.
I don't have the mortgage and the note. That stays with the homeowner, but I have the deed. So
Mhm.
now I am in the chain of title and I need title insurance.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is that how
Uh,
you guys understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
You explained it perfect.
So this for me is a rare moment, and I'm going to ask the question and be fully transparent. So I am a buy and hold investor. I'm in DC. However, I buy in the Baltimore area. So I have 15 rentals. And I'm putting my head down to, buy more rentals because I'm frustrated with the multifamily. The numbers are not panning out. So my answer to multifamily is just get to about 30 doors, right? Row
Yeah,
homes primarily.
that works.
Okay. Um, but for Jane and Sharon, like the question it's really intriguing and it's expanding my mind because I'm also just as frustrated because Baltimore's starting to get really expensive. So
Mhm.
do I need to start looking out of state? And why are you guys in 11 different states? Are you chasing cash flow? And what's I have both of you there, so I'm like playing devil's advocate and asking like, so what do you recommend for like somebody in my situation, what would each of you recommend?
You know, we were tossed into it. We moved from Maryland to Florida, right at the very beginning of when we started going to, you know, we had never invested, we were tired, we were moving and learning real estate all at the same time. So, you know, we learned what we learned in Maryland and the Baltimore market, and then we came to Sarasota where they pay $250,000 for a house to get 1,200 cash flow, and we were kind of scratching our heads saying we can pay all in 50,000 and get 1,200 cash flow. So I mean that we were finding deals for 30 and putting 20 in and getting 1,200 cash flow. So it's a different area and different. We understood that, but we didn't understand the actual numbers, how they were making money with that, which I still don't understand that. So it just you know, so then we realized we could kind of do that everywhere. And then we had a couple wholesale deals where we didn't even look at the property. We got the property under contract. You know, we just used some, you know, computer stuff and different, you know, marketplace, Craigslist, and sold the properties without even looking at them. There's properties that we never even saw. You know, we were just able to finagle that. And then it was, you know, you just, again, relationships. We stumbled onto a contractor, we stumbled onto, you know, a title company, just referrals and friends. And so we typically, when we first started with virtual, we had areas that we had an affinity for, whether that was friends and family, you know, people we knew in other real estate groups. We're in, you know, a good number of real estate groups where we probably know at least one person in every state, you know, that we could turn to, and, you know, who do you know that could help us out with this? So just, you know, when we were finding deals that we just couldn't pass up, if we could do a lease option on a house that, you know, we might have got picked up for 50,000, and, you know, we could still lease option that out, or, you know, sell on a land contract, or find the contractor to do the rental. It just made more sense than, you know, chasing properties down here when people were paying $100,000, you know, over ask with no appraisal, no inspection. This just was silliness for us. So it's cash flow, and, you know, it's for us, we do kind of bits and pieces, humps and chunks. You know, sometimes we wholesale, sometimes we lease options, sometimes we use as a rental. So it's just, you know, different things. Whatever makes sense for that property or that deal that we stumble on, that's what we do.
Okay.
And
And
that's what I like about like single family homes, is the versatility that you can look at. That's, you know, with the multifamily, you know you're going to rent it. But with the single family, or, you know, smaller real estate options, you have so much versatility. Like Jane was saying, you can owner finance it to another investor, you can lease option it to a potential homeowner, you can rent it, you can do short-term rentals, flip it, wholesale it. It's just, you know, there's so much to do with single family homes. It's just, we really like that feel. We really like staying in that lane and that niche.
And I think, like, if for you, if you were going to go that route, you know, what we did originally was we took a piece of paper and we wrote down, you know, who we knew in different states. So, you know, we're from Maryland, so obviously we had a lot of people in Maryland. You know, my sister lives one place, my brother lives in Delaware, you know, so we had different things for that. And then it was like, you know, who do we know in Alabama? And we, you know, knew somebody in Aria down there. And who do we know that, and it's not only who you know, it's who you know that's dependable, because we've also had people that, you know, we thought would, you know, we would say, hey, let's joint venture on this one, or let's, you know, we'll pay you X amount of dollars if we can sell the house, but then they don't go, they don't take pictures, they don't, you know, do what you need them to do. So, you know, who do you know that you can lean on? And, you know, who do you know that's a new investor that's trying to get started, that you can help out with them helping you? You know, it's, so we did that list. And then, you know, when we got done with the list, we're like, wow, we know people in just, you know, practically every state. There's states we won't deal with, but we do know people that we can, you know, lean on in every state.
awesome. Thank you. And so the 50K at 1,200 rents, are you referring to Maryland, or are these other comparable states?
Back in the day when we started out, it was Baltimore City and the surrounding
Yeah.
areas. We were able to acquire that. I know the
Yeah.
price points have went up since then, but when we first moved down here, that was the numbers we were getting. And then we come here, and the rents were still the same level with houses that they, the
250.
200,000, 250,000 they wanted for the house, and people were buying it and putting renters in there.
Yeah.
Now the rent numbers have come up, but of course the price of the houses have come up too, so.
Oh, and we typically stay out of the cities, and I'll just give you a quick example. Starkville, Mississippi, we picked up a house on auction for 14,000. We took on the person that wouldn't get out of the house, so we had to put, 1,000 into an eviction attorney. So we're all pretty much all in for 15. We sold it on a land contract. Those people got pregnant and some other stuff, so they wanted a bigger house. They just handed the house back over, and then we cleaned it up a little bit, and then we sold it. I think it was 55 or something. So it served its purpose with the person that we had in there after COVID. They paid for the house, and then we captured the other stuff in year 2 or year 3. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, but. So, to pick up a house for 14,000, I can't really get hurt on anything I do with a house for 14,000. There's some kind of exit strategy for that. And we picked up quite a few of those during COVID because nobody else was buying.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you. This is invaluable, but thank you both, all three, and Nicole too. I agree about quality versus quantity, penny cheap, pound foolish, because I've learned that too. Like, people come to Baltimore and they want to just buy the cheap stuff, but
Yeah.
you really want to chase quality, not cheap.
Yep. So one of the benefits of that you see with commercial or with multifamily that you don't see with residential, you guys.
I wasn't dogging. I would love to have
Yeah, dissing
multifamily.
The debate continues.
Dissing. So here is that basically commercial real estate is valued on the income approach, not on the comparable approach. So right now, I think Jean is right, is that it is because commercial's been overvalued so much. But if you look at what's happening to the cap rates that things are selling, they are coming down pretty quick.
Yeah.
But it's harder to get loans. So I think you give it another 6 months and you're going to see 2000, 2007, 2008 kinds of numbers with commercial. So one of the things that I would be saying is if you have a little extra cash, sit on some cash for a little while, because I think in 6 months, a lot of these loans are going to come up for refi and you can step into them pretty cheap. You can buy the notes from the bank. Once you get a commercial list of people who are 30, 60, 90 days late. And you send letters and you step into those loans, you buy those loans, or you buy the note from the bank. A lot of banks will just give you their non-performing list. Because particularly a lot of the smaller banks, they just don't want to sit on non-performing assets right now. So I'm finding it a whole lot easier. I've actually had probably 4 or 5 different banks call me over the last 2 months wanting to know if I'm interested in buying any of their non-performing commercial notes.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Because it has such a big hit. Commercial real estate in the commercial world right now is considered to be very overvalued, very it's in trouble if you start reading in a lot of places. And there's a lot of banks that are sitting pretty close to the red line on the FDIC list. I mean, you've already seen 3 banks go out, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
true.
right.
That's true.
So what they're trying to do is to get rid of their non-performing assets. So I actually think there's a lot. I've actually been surprised at banks calling at the number of banks that are already starting to get nervous. Now, right now, a lot of them, the notes are still performing, but in another 6 to 12 months, when they come up for refi, banks are already thinking that people are not going to be able to refi without coming to closing with a lot of money. So they're looking to sell notes.
Awesome.
So
That's great.
I don't know.
Opportunity.
I think I still do both. We still do both. We buy residential, we buy commercial. We just do more of the multifamily commercial because I like more roofs or more. I like less roofs and more tenants to share out the mortgage payments.
And we
Yes.
certainly see the advantage in that. I guess, you know, again, we just, residential was what we learned. Self-funding
Oh,
was what
yeah.
so now we're actually, you know, we'll be looking for that and we'll be calling Nicole.
And you're absolutely right. Like if you have a multifamily with many doors, 1 or 2 vacancies isn't going to hurt you. Or a single family, if it's a rental and it's a vacancy, you're not making any income on that property. So it's see the positives on both sides. So I'd love to have a great multifamily or 2.
All right. That was really good, you guys.
Yeah, great feedback. Thank you so much. Very
Thank
invaluable.
you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you for all the good questions. So
I really enjoyed it. Excellent.
Thank you,
appreciate
Charlene.
that. I appreciate that.
I think next week I think we're doing some of the tools we use, just you know, since we do things virtually, some of the tools we use to, you know, evaluate properties and since it is virtual.
That sounds like it'd be interesting.
Awesome. Yep.
All right, guys. No other questions. We'll call it a night. We'll see everybody back here Tuesday again. If you want to go to the website and check out the freebies on there, maybe we'll try to come up with another freebie.
Do you want
For
to
this
put that
week.
up again? Do you want to put the website up again, Sharon?
Can you go back to your PowerPoint?
Oh, the PowerPoint.
Just the first one?
I should. Oh, shoot.
I'll also put links in the chat.
help!
You see all the links in the chat as well, if you guys need them.
There we go.
And if you have any other questions, we're always available by email, so you can go ahead and email us at janeandsharon@virtualreiacademy.com. And there's our pretty puppy who wants to go outside right now.
Well, we
Oh,
better
yeah.
not keep the puppy.
Right?
He rules the house.
All right. Bye,
right.
you guys.
All right.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much.
night.
everybody
Thank you.
coming.
Thanks,
Thank you so
thanks for
much.
being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
you.